Good evening. For all of you that were just with me, I had some technical difficulties. Oh my gosh. I'm Shelly B, a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world. And tonight's hot mess is the Senate hearing on COVID-19 vaccines and the cover up that they are alleging that the government has made to hide the safety data of these shots, and that they are alleging that, a lot of people have passed away from these shots from the first injections, and they are having a hearing now to try to see, and unravel this corruption and hopefully hold people accountable. Now, yesterday I was on here and I hope you guys can hear me because I was having an issue with the sound later. Please let me know in the comments if there's an issue with the sound. I'm praying that everything is okay. Let me just let my friend know I'm on. Because the reason why I wanted to come on here with this is because, like I said, I had been looking for information about this hearing and not a lot of people are talking about it. The hearings are up there, but not a lot of people are talking about it. And it always just seems to me that people are having cognitive dissonance surrounding these vaccines. And no one wants to have the discussion about these products and their safety. And I just feel like, all of these doctors that spoke here, everything they said was so important. And, I could tell people, oh, watch this video for the whole 3 hours. Hey, Faithful Alanon, how does the sound? I hope it's okay this time. So am I saying it right? Faithful Anon, right? I hope I'm saying that right. And I don't have my glasses. I probably should wear them for this. Oh, what a difference that makes. So yeah. Oh, yeah, she said it's all good. We were having a technical difficulty on here. Hold on, let me just send a message right here. We're gonna get this together. Yeah, Faithful Anon, right? Anon. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Faithful Anon, right? So anyway, this is my homegirl right here. So that's why. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So getting back to it, I have my friend on here because she has been on this journey with me from day one with these shots. I just have to say that we all been through so much, and we're also going to do a channel on Chatter soon, but I don't want to digress too much because we have so much to cover, because this hearing is like 3 hours long. But like I was saying, the reason why I wanted to have this information and go through this whole hearing with you guys is because that way I can make these into shorter reels so they can be more, easy for people to watch and get the information out there, because I know most people are not going to watch this 3-hour hearing. Most people are not going to watch this 3-hour hearing. So where we left off last time, it basically, they just introduced all the doctors on the panel. There's one doctor that is for pharma and for, vaccines. Yes, Faithful Anon is saying that, the medical exemptions were ignored, and they get into all of that. That's why I'm so happy to see this, because they literally are looking at all of this, the censorship, everything. And I really hope that people are tried and convicted in this battle here. It was a long time coming. It's disgusting that it took 5 years for them to look at this, but Democrats were not going to look at this. So shout out to these people here that are doing it. Very much so. Faithful Anon is saying it's unconstitutional. It was very unconstitutional. And I really hope that they have some type of Nuremberg trials or something like that. And that these people will be tried and convicted, because a lot of people lost their lives and they didn't have to. So let's just hear what they're going to say here. It's so much on here. I really implore you guys to watch this in its entirety. Watch it in its entirety. Faithful Anon, Faithful Anon, Faithful Anon. I'm gonna get that right. I would just wish I could just say your name, but anything that goes against the Constitution is null and void. Yes, and what also should be null and void is any decisions that Biden has made, because that is also unconstitutional to have all these people that are unelected to make these decisions for us. So let's just hear what they have to say, because this is a trip. These doctors on here, I know me and my friend that's in this live with me, we know who all these people are, but a lot of people don't know who these people are. And the main reason why I wanted to put this out here, because I know that there's people that are injured or they don't realize that they're injured. But if you watch this, you may recognize some of your symptoms and you can get help. Okay, so let's just listen. Now he's referring to the pharmaceutical representative that's for vaccines, and he's making all these claims, but he doesn't have any of the science behind it, which we're going to find out through these hearings that they never had any science or any of the things that they told us to do. Girl, you and I have to do our chatter discussion because you are making so many good points here, and we're going to set that up for chatter to talk about this because I feel like me and my friend right here, we have so much to tell you guys, but we're going to have to move this to chatter. We can just have a better free discussion. They bring every last vaccine under the sun into discussion, but look what it says: Senate hearing on COVID-19 vaccines. So you're going to see that the people that are the one guy that's on the panel that's in favor of these shots is going to keep gaslighting us to think about other things besides this particular one that is in question. So you said you can't. Oh, my screen, girl! I forgot to share my screen. You're so correct. Sorry about that. I got so discombobulated with everything. Sorry about that, girl. I'm glad I have you on here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So basically, what he's talking about is these numbers and the related deaths to these shots. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you so much. Today was just one of those days. So, okay, so look at this.
I had been, well, this is different. Again, I'll be very generous, okay?
Yes, you are, girl. We're going to get this together and we're going to test on the other one too so that we can really talk more freely. We're going to work on that. You have to let me know when we could do it.
I was actually instructed as a non-doctor what the COVID injections were. Encapsulated lipid nanoparticle that was designed to permeate difficult to permeate barriers. So they lied to us when they said they'd stay in the arm. They knew it wouldn't. They had a study, the Japanese regulators uncovered that when they did do a biodistribution study in rats, it distributed all over the body. So that was the first lie. Didn't really talk about too much about the toxicity yet of the.
Can you guys look at these numbers? Look at these numbers. Why will they not take this off the market? What is going on here? And the part that makes me so angry too is that the people are not angry about this. Look at this. These are the government's own, what does it say? FDA and CDC data worldwide. They had to sue to get this information, and it took 2 years, I believe. But look at these numbers. And these deaths are on 0, 1, or 2 days after getting the shots. Come on. Everybody has to wake up for this.
It goes all over the body. So I was aware. And then again, that this was not a standard vaccine. This isn't a attenuated or dead virus that the body reacts to. This actually hijacks the cell, has the cell produce the spike protein, which is toxic to the body, which means the body attacks it. Again, I'm a layman, but it's pretty simple for me to understand this. So I was aware of this. Like,
y'all need to listen to this because pretty much everybody that has got these products are going to be affected by these spike proteins in one way or the other. It may be mild. Some people might even have it very severely. You have to pay attention and mind your health because there are things that you could do to help for the spike protein.
Like in October. So I'm watching VAERS, and so I'm publishing these charts, and I'm being censored. I see the next chart, chart number 2. This is the full history of VAERS. and the number of deaths being reported associated.
And for those of you that wasn't here yesterday and don't know what VAERS is, it's the vaccine adverse event report, okay, reporting, which people are reporting injuries and all kinds of deaths and stuff from day one, but they just didn't want to tell anybody for some reason. I just find it hard to believe that it's just for greed why they did this. Everybody should be appalled and angry at this. I don't understand why more people are not upset at this. Y'all are mad at Donald Trump every day. Y'all mad because they want to deport illegal aliens, but you're not mad at this. To me, this is the biggest thing in history that everybody should be upset over. And everybody's just like la-di-da-di-da. They're just, it's amazing to me.
With the vaccine, you got a couple hundred a year until 2021, and yikes.
Yes, you're right.
21,725 deaths worldwide.
It's probably 3 times or
why?
10 times that.
And everybody's saying, "No, this is safe and effective." The vaccine injured were being gaslit. They weren't being treated. They're still being gaslit. There is no, by the way, there is no compassion, Governor.
So since we're talking about gaslighting, I'm gonna skip through this a little bit further to hear more gaslighting. Now, this guy
restart critical research.
There is nothing that anybody that watches this, I just can't see how you don't see how disingenuous and full of it that this guy is.
Projects. We will lose ground on this science and the science that benefits from it, the R&D that goes forward. We've all been very supportive for decades of advanced scientific research. Sometimes it happens through the military, sometimes through our universities. We are in deep trouble.
They have not been supportive. They did not allow any opposing opinions to these vaccines. They did not listen. They censored. They destroyed people's careers. He is full of it.
If we stop the research component of our commitment to our people, we will also be in grave danger if we don't do the public health assessment in our states, in our rural areas, because we will not even know what we're being affected by. We will be blind to the diseases that roll through our communities, whether it's chronic disease or acute disease from an infection like this. And I just need to address a couple statements that I feel are misconceptions.
You can tell his ass
and I'm
is
not
lying,
judging.
and that
I
he's
feel
full of
that there's a misconception that the COVID vaccination didn't decrease the severity of disease. That is what it did. It decreased the severity, and I saw this clinically, and we saw this from a public health.
Now he keeps saying this, and you're going to see the lawyers are going to attack him on this in the committee. What is his name again? Ron Johnson. They're gonna challenge him because they have no data and no studies that exist that anything with this vaccine worked this way it said it is. Yes, it is. This hearing was very illuminating, says Faithful Anna, because most people do not know anything about this. Now I'm starting to see other people reporting it, other news is reporting it, still the same independent media and stuff, but it's starting to get out more. And, I just don't understand how people are not more upset over this. I just don't understand this. I mean, especially if you took it. Like, I feel like everybody should want to hear this to know how they can mind their health.
Standpoint, it decreased the severity of what people were facing, so they didn't die. Or they died.
Listen, this is all lies, and the lawyers are going to show. And when everybody puts all their documents in, I can guarantee you they'll probably have some fake studies that they made up, and it's going to be bogus because they do not have the data saying that anything that he's saying is correct. It doesn't exist. They're full of crap.
At a much lower rate, and you can see that in the charts that we've seen, but through looking at them through a different lens, the exact same charts. When the death rates dropped because people had begun to develop immunity, because their immune systems were responding to the vaccination. And in fairness, we could debate the language, but even some of the individuals that are also testifying with me here today referred repeatedly to the mRNA vaccination because it was putting these particles into people, and then the immune system was responding to them. And so I do feel that it's a vaccination, but be that as it may, we ultimately saw the ability to stop the severe and
you're going to watch that lawyer sit next to him, rip him to shreds in a little while.
Deadly cases in our hospitals. And so there are many ways to view vaccinations. There's many ways to view treatments, and they're all valuable. For some vaccinations,
This
straight
is
up,
where I say it's gaslighting, because he keeps talking about other vaccines. They are there to specifically discuss the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines. And if there was a cover up to hide safety signals to the public, which it was very much so. The government's own statistics show it. And now all we got to know now is, what did you do that for, and who's going to go to prison for it? That's all that needs to be found out at this point.
Stop infection from occurring. That's the case when we talk about measles. Measles.
What
measles,
is he
mumps,
talking
rubella,
about
when you get
measles
that
for?
vaccine, you really prevent the spread.
I
to
just
a
want
great
you
degree.
guys to see how much he be gaslighting. And when you watch this, if he don't make you mad, I don't know what will. I'm gonna skip a little bit forward to this section on the school closures and the responses.
So, and school, well, by the way, schools is where you socialize, you learn your behaviors, you learn how to meet other people. Because if we don't believe in schools, the federal government and state government can save a lot of money. So school.
I'm sorry, these Republican senators were cooking. I just loved them, all of them.
Schools are important. Let's just get that out of the way. So why would you close schools, which you did, Governor, when no children died of COVID? What would make you make that decision? You close schools. And by the way, the impact on that is generational. You destroyed the lives. You and the other governors that closed schools.
I just want to hear your opinion, Faithful. And I want to keep saying it wrong. Faithful Adnan. Why do you think that they wanted to shut down? And why do you think they wanted to keep the kids out of school and all of that? Why do you think that? I'll wait for your response. I'll watch while you
destroyed the lives of children in doing that.
So, okay, I've got to tell the audience, please notice, sir.
Senator, may I respond to
that
these
was a question for you.
accusations? Yeah, I think it was. Well, first of all, I think you misunderstand some of the value to.
No. Why did you close schools?
Well, I'm gonna address each
Just
of your
answer
points.
that and not filibuster me, please.
I'm not going to filibuster you. Schools, I did not want to close. And
But you did.
Actually, I was not governor at the time.
But you were lieutenant governor and you were the point
He's
person.
not
Do you
allowing
think
him
the
to
governor made a
gaslight.
mistake in closing schools?
We reopened the schools as soon
Did
as
you
we
think
could get
he
the
made a
teachers as soon as-
mistake?
Well, if
Do
I
you think he
can,
made a
may I
mistake?
answer
No,
the
no, but
question, or is
just-
the
but-
senator going to filibuster me, sir?
No, you're going to answer my direct question. Just say I'm not going to answer you.
No, I'm going to
Do
answer
you
your
think
question.
it was a good idea? Yes or no, the two choices in this answer. Do you think it was a good idea to close schools? Simple answer. Just give me a yes or a no.
As we had COVID surging through our society because there was massive spread from children to adults, we were waiting to make sure the teachers
So let me get this straight. You sacrificed the lives of children because
Faithful Anon says, when I asked her why did she feel that they made the kids leave school and locked them down, she said they knew if they separated the kids, it would cause severe depression and no one will fight back because they were oppressed. I agree, because I do feel like a lot of people were depressed during that time and they felt defeated with these policies.
maybe
And it destroyed a lot of people financially and ruined their lives forever.
they would spread something that you don't know to adults. You thought that was a good idea. That's
No, that's
okay.
not always.
No, no,
Actually,
no,
it's your
okay.
party that's
We're good.
trying to
We can-
close
we
our
can-
schools
we
and get
can-
rid of the Department of
Now
Education.
look at this. What does, and he's gonna say it's your party that's trying to shut down the board. What does the Board of Ed have to do with not wanting a deadly vaccine? This is why I say they are gaslighting. Yes, Faithful, there many suicides with the children. Yes, it was. And I had to really make sure my son was entertained to keep him from being bored to death. And, a lot of kids got behind with the online learning and stuff like that. It was a disgrace. And they had no science for the reason why they did that. Everything across the board, from the injuries to the responses and the mandates and all these policies, it is a serious crime. This will go down in history as the worst crime against humanity in history.
So we do have.
So we're not
differences of
politicizing
opinion.
this
I
hearing.
agree.
Okay,
Yes,
we're
it
moving
is.
on.
The
You
Board
said
of
my
Education
governors and
is
other
not
governors that close schools, which is
cabal
politicization
organization.
of
When
the
I'm
issue.
in Hawaii and I'm having a hearing before you, you can interrupt me.
I
When
will.
you're here before the United States Senate,
Ooh.
you're not going to interrupt me. Moving on.
Ooh.
So here's the next question for you. Show me the science that said that when I walked into an airport in Hawaii, and I wasn't, I didn't want to tell you because it's none of your business whether I had a COVID vaccine or not, or tested positive or not, because that's also none of your business. Where's the science where I had to quarantine for 14 days? Tell me the science behind why you
They
locked
have
your
none.
residents up and did not allow them to go grocery shopping, why you closed your beaches and your parks. I would love you to put that science into this record, because you can give me
Yep.
the nice, happy talk. But those were,
That's the thing. They are asking them to supply the data that goes with what you're saying. And I guarantee you they don't have any. They don't have any. And I just want to know what's going to happen after they look at this stuff. What's going to happen? Like, who's going to be held accountable for this? It's like, to me, it's so many. Yup. HIPAA was null and void. She's saying, yes. They just did so much, and it's so big of an issue. I just don't. I hope that justice prevails here. But I have no
terrible
faith.
decisions. And what COVID highlighted more than anything else, by the way, it's why I'm here. I ran for the United States Senate, not because I had this deep desire to be a government politician, but because I was so incensed by the arrogance, by the ignorance, by the lack of common sense among our elected officials, that we needed different kinds of people here in Washington, D.C. and other places. So,
Shall I answer those questions, Chairman?
no, there was no question for you. That was just a
There were
statement.
several questions.
No,
You asked about why a 14-day quarantine. You asked
Yeah,
about
what's
what
the
the airports.
science? Sure, what's the science? 14-day quarantine.
Because
Not 12, not 16.
actually, I asked for 5 days,
Crimes
just so you
against
know.
humanity.
So
Yes,
what
my-
was it? Was there a dartboard?
No, it was 5 days because that was the amount of time from symptoms to transmission.
So why
that we-
14?
The
Exactly.
14-day was before we had the
So
we had the
So
He
14
doesn't know
wasn't
what he's gonna
scientific,
say.
just to be clear.
14 days was how long it took for people to get over the disease, and people were still shedding virus through that period. And that's why you do use science and I use science, but you didn't like science for Hawaii.
Did
We
the
did
COVID
have the test, and we did have the test to enter Hawaii, so people could make a choice, an informed choice, and they did. And then they didn't have to quarantine at all. Just to make sure you know that.
Does he
because I
have
think-
the nerve to say informed choice to enter Hawaii? What about the informed choice to not take something that's going to kill you or make you sick? I mean, are these people serious?
You got your facts wrong. And also, I didn't close the beaches. That was the mayor of Honolulu and not me. So just, it is important that you get the facts right if you're going to be a political official.
So that's what you're saying. It wasn't me. It was the other guy.
No, it was me who ran the COVID response.
Zero accountability. Dr. McCullough,
I'll take more
Doc-
So
time.
this
if you give me
guy,
more
I just
time.
want
I'm
you
done
to
with you, Governor.
see
Thank you.
Thank you,
how
sir.
much they gaslight. Now, the thing that was the most heartbreaking to me were the people that were vaccine injured.
When you came to the United States Senate and asked to be heard by senators and their staff, you were treated. Describe how you've been treated.
Well, thank you, Senator Johnson.
Now, for anybody that wasn't with us yesterday, this guy right here is a doctor or surgeon or something, and he, was all for the vaccines, and he got it and got vaccine injured, and it caused him where he couldn't keep his balance anymore, and he couldn't even practice anymore. So he's very tight. So this is just one among millions of people that this has happened to. The numbers are outrageous. They say this vaccine, quote unquote, has more injuries than every vaccine ever created combined. So why is it still on the market?
So what I'd like to say is being vaccine injured in this country is unfortunately a huge polarizing event, which it should never be.
It's so sad how they do
If
that.
I could describe one
Unbelievable.
word that I think all, if not most, vaccine injured will say is, what's one word that describes your experience after your injury? And it's abandonment. Okay. We get attacked. We walk a tightrope. We get attacked from the right. The right say we're stupid. We shouldn't have got a shot. We should die. Okay. And I could show you social media stuff. The left says we're anti-vaxxers, which to me is one of the most ignorant things to say of myself, because all my children have been vaccinated. I got vaccine injured because I got vaccinated. But
And that is so true. They call everybody anti-vaxxers, but mostly everybody that didn't take this had been vaccinated before, had their kids vaccinated or whatever. They had no fear of vaccines or anything until this one, because anybody that did their research knew that it was an emergency use product. It was rushed to market. It wasn't tested, that they have immunity. They don't have any reason to make a product that's safe because they'll be immune if you die or get hurt anyway. So it's like a lot of people just heard about the safety signals and they were afraid to take it.
Still, regardless, we get called anti-vaxxers. We report these to VAERS.
Yes, girl, they do talk about the inserts in the packaging. They talk about, that's why I said everybody needs to watch this in its entirety because it's so much information in here that a lot of people I know they do not know. You know, like people like me and Faithful Anna, you know, we know about this, but most people don't know about this. You need to watch this and hear all that went down.
Okay, nothing happens. I had an adverse event, which was, delayed the AstraZeneca trial in the United Kingdom, 2 times for 3 cases of transverse myelitis. I expected a call the day after. Days passed, weeks passed. By 3 weeks, I called the CDC myself and demanded, a response. I always thought, oh, I'd get this quick response and someone would help us. All of us that are vaccine injured know there's no phone call coming. There's no help coming.
Nothing.
We have repeatedly met, and Brianne Dressen, who's my coach.
Some of these people, I mean, their injuries were so severe, like nonstop tremors and stuff like that. Like it was just crazy, nerve damage. I just couldn't believe the injuries, and the fact that they just threw those people away and covered up their injuries and stuff. It's so sad. It is so sad. And like I said yesterday, they blocked all of these people. Like people will put groups together to try to help each other. Like, oh, I have this injury. I have this thing happen to me, like trying to help each other. And they will delete the whole group. How evil is that? A person that get on there and say, oh my God, I have these tremors or whatever. Like somebody can tell me can help. They'll block them. You'll go to people's profiles on TikTok, Instagram, places like that, and you'll just see black for the posts that they had up there. The censorship they did was wicked, and people should, really stand with this process so that this never happens again. But to me, I just feel like the people are still being very, very complacent. Who is not mad about this? You can't deny these numbers. These numbers that they're showing you on these graphs are the actual government statistics that they tried to hide from the people. The lawyers had to sue for 2 years to get access to see this. So it's crazy. Y'all have to wake up and really realize that it's something wrong here.
Co-chair with Reacting have met with Peter Marks over and over and over for the last
5 years.
For a period of about 2 years. We have been placated. We have been blown off. We bring up adverse events, the neurological adverse events. We bring up the MIS, which is the multi-system inflammatory syndrome. Mm-hmm. We bring up the myocarditis. He thanks us. He says he'll get back to us. He never does.
Never does.
That went on for 2 years. So for
just
people,
imagine how many people's lives they saved. A lot of people that had these injuries killed themselves because they just couldn't take it. I've seen people lose their limbs, all kind of stuff because of these blood clots and not having circulation. When I tell you, I've never seen so many crazy instances of injuries in my life from anything in life. This is unbelievable. And, people always say, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, whatever. But how can I not? How can you know stuff like this and not try to warn the people that you care for? Now, if you don't do anything with the information, that's on you. But you cannot say that a lot of people didn't try to warn you. And these people are despicable because this many people did not have to lose their lives. This many people did not have to have their lives ruined. If they would have had to help this doctor from the beginning, maybe he wouldn't have lost his practice. He said he fell out while he was working on somebody. It's crazy. Faithful Anon says, I think my father died from a blood clot they didn't do an autopsy. Huh? Maybe. I have a friend, I have a family member, you know, that passed away after having that for some heart thing or whatever. I mean, the sad part of it is that I do, and the insurance actuaries are showing that there's a huge uptick in deaths in kids and everybody since those shots came out. The insurance companies, and the messed up part for all of you is that it's bad enough that you can't sue. And if it comes out, now this is what they're gonna really do to get y'all. Because they're if that's an experimental medical product. So if you die and they can prove that it's from that shot, which I feel like they're going to start doing now that this is out, the insurance company's going, they have a way out now. They don't have to pay your death benefit. And it's already happened to people already if you don't think that it can happen. So you guys need to wake up and really pay attention.
People that think it's this kumbaya, we're all, people are listening to us and people are all in these federal agencies are trying to help and get to the bottom of it.
They're not
It is
doing
the
anything.
farthest from the truth.
So there've been a number of claims made, and I think there'll be continue to be a number of claims made. I just ask anybody making a claim, please provide your citations.
Yep.
You know, please provide, you know, again, respect the
And
science.
I guarantee you, these doctors have the receipts. These people sitting up here defending vaccines for pharma, they don't have the receipts. That's why they were lying, trying to cover it up.
Science. Let me see the science. I mean, I'm very genuine here. Let me see, you know, the science behind this actually reduced.
All of COVID, follow the science, follow the science. You're not trusting the science. Do you trust this science now that they're showing you how many people done passed away with the government's own documents that they tried to hide from everybody? Pfizer tried to hide their documents and all. Come on. It is what it is. Now, what can we do? Now, can we actually let these doctors do what they have to do in trying to find cures and help these people? This is crazy.
The symptoms, or this prevented deaths, or this prevented
This is
transmission. I would like to see the science. Dr. Vaughn, you are really specializing in the
It'll
blood
never happen.
clots. You know, I've seen video after video, picture after picture of these long white blood clots in autopsy. We've also, you know, throughout COVID, autopsies were really just.
The morticians complained about them, about those clots and the people because they would try to embalm them and they couldn't even embalm them properly because their arteries and everything were so clogged with these rubbery clots or whatever. And they didn't know what it was. They had never seen nothing like it. This was years ago that they reported this. Years. Girl, how long was it? This was like at the beginning, like I say, what, 2022 or something like that, 21, something like that. They started really noticing, and like the undertakers everywhere were saying this. Like, what is this? And they're removing them from the cadavers and having jars. Like, what is this? It kept me from being able to bomb this person. It's freakish, it's nightmarish, it's hellish, it's demonic, it's everything evil what these people have done. And unless humanity wakes up to this, they're just going to do it to us again. They're going to do it again. They're all talking about the next pandemic, the next pandemic. Most people will survive COVID. This is what's going to also come out, that the drugs that they treated COVID with, the respirators, all of that was wrong for treatment. There are doctors that saved all their people. Dr. Stella Manuel, she said some of the people will come to her and she don't even know how they got in there. They were so sick and they were able to cure them because they didn't allow them to even use the right documents. I saw one doctor say that he just had to sit by helplessly and watch these people die because they weren't allowing him to treat the patients the way he wanted to. This is crazy. If people are not angry at this and they don't want to, I don't get it. Everybody's foaming at the mouth about Donald Trump. And I just feel like that is nothing compared to this. Compared to this. Y'all mad at Donald Trump for everything, but you're not mad at him for Operation Warp Speed. Make it make sense. Come on, y'all. This is ridiculous.
Discouraged. We weren't seeking the scientific truth. I see Dr. McCullough, I'll have you kind of answer that, but you know, Dr. Vaughn, first talk about the clotting we saw and what you know in terms of what was
these blood clots.
discovered under autopsy.
Well, first of all,
early in COVID, the spring of 2020, my collaborator, Jacques Lopscher in South Africa, was the first one to kind of alert people to say that this was primarily a vascular disease, not a pulmonary disease. And that's one of the reasons that ventilators are probably one of the most ineffective things you could have done to people. Because if you have
and like, we want to know who, what science did they have for that? Who just made that up and say, oh, let's put them on ventilator? Like, who thought of that? Especially when you have so many other doctors saying no, that are renowned and seasoned, saying don't do it like that, and they just refuse to listen. Like, who is responsible for this? Are they really going to get to the bottom of this? Well, that's what everybody's saying. Faithful Anon says that Trump was lied to with warp speed. And, you know, I kind of agree, because in his first term, he did have a lot of those old people lingering behind and, you know, advising him. But this time he got rid of all those people, and you can see everything is running much smoother. I mean, he still has a little bit of bumps in the road with some of these people that I feel need to go. But yeah. And I feel like people are just mad about the wrong things. They should be very angry about this, especially if you took the damn shots. You know? I mean, you see the numbers right there. You see it. Maybe you're lucky that you didn't get injured by it or whatever, but hundreds of thousands of people did.
Vascular disease of the lungs, increasing the intrathoracic pressure, just closes down more vessels and ultimately kills them. And what we also saw was if you went into the hospital in the spring or summer of 2020, you were twice as likely to leave alive if you were already on a blood thinner. Now, I will tell you, most of your friends that are on blood thinners probably aren't healthier than you. So it's kind of interesting to find out that the people that were on blood thinners had a protection. So again, those were signals that were really downplayed. Unfortunately, after a lot of the treatment was codified by the CARES Act, it resulted in basically a protocol-based treatment for in-hospital care.
As long as you start, anybody describe remdesivir? Anybody want to speak to that?
You're right. Yes, girl.
If not, I'll do that for another hearing. I mean, just the conflict of interest of how that was being approved.
So let me skip a little bit more ahead. I can't stress to y'all enough times to sit there and watch this in its entirety. You have to see this to believe it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's disgusting that it took 5 years. 5 years. That the Democrats, they did not give a damn about your ass. And you're sitting here fighting, picketing, they need to go and stay going forever.
Studies, it's now been released through the Pfizer papers and other means.
Yep.
You think somewhere they ought to put some information in there. So the point I want to make is I think an awful lot of folks are saying that there was not informed consent. I would argue they violated the inviolable principle of informed consent with this COVID injection. I just think that's indisputable. I'll start with you, Dr. McCullough. Do you want to weigh in on that?
It's just so much wrong on so many levels with everything.
Presented at the FDA advisory meetings. I've advised companies for decades on this, so I know the regulatory science very well. When a product definitely results in death, and there are thousands of peer-reviewed papers on this, Governor, the COVID vaccines in some people, sadly, result in death.
They made millions. They made
some
billions.
On the very first day they take the shot.
Trillions.
That must be a black box warning on the product immediately. I just checked.
And they knew people would die from this from the beginning. Like I said, there was a little girl that got paralyzed in the trials. They knew that this caused injuries, and they did not warn anybody of anything. Remember that the packages were empty. They had no papers in them to tell you what's in it and stuff like that. Or they just were blank pieces of paper inside them. It's crazy what they did. It's just, I just feel like Democrats run amok because they've just gotten away with so much for so long, and they're so corrupt. And I just don't think they ever thought that they would be thrown out of office. And here we are. And I just feel that they're not prepared for anything that's about to happen. And I hope that they really run with this and get rid of these people forever. I just want to see them exposed once and for all, and everybody just turn away from these people. They're the devil.
The package inserts for the currently available products, the ones that Senator Blumenthal wants to pursue. Sounds like governor wants to still pursue these. Our FDA still wants them to be administered. They
Yep,
still
they're
don't
still
have the
trying to
word
give them to
death
people.
in the package insert. As of today, they don't. And so Americans are not fairly informed.
Do you have any doubt in your mind that the COVID injection caused some deaths? I mean, what do you think of the, what is it, 38,607 right now listed on VAERS?
Mhm.
What do you think the real number is? And do you have any science to back up your opinion?
The best data are autopsies. So in the largest autopsy series published to date, I know because I'm the senior author, of all the deaths we examined, and we re-reviewed them. We had an adjudication committee. We had
Hi,
ways
Gary.
of
Gary
arbitration
says sheer
deciding on
evil.
did
Yes,
the
it
vaccine
is.
cause death. The answer is of
These people are from the bowels of hell. Tens of thousands have died. This is just the government's information. It's probably 10 times worse than what they, if they didn't want to tell the truth and they're covering up, imagine how many people it really is. They believe millions of people were injured. Like worldwide, like millions of people died and were injured. It's scary. It's very scary. And what's even more scary is that people are acting like having cognitive dissonance or Stockholm syndrome. You know, I don't get it.
Of these cases that came in for autopsy after vaccination, 73.9% of individuals, it was determined that the vaccine was the cause of death. First author is Holscher and colleagues. He's sitting right behind.
And I cannot reiterate to y'all enough times. If they can prove that you died by the vaccine, and now I believe that, like I said, insurance companies, they are going to want to see this because now they have a way out of paying out all these excess death upticks. If they can say that that vaccine is what killed you, they are not going to pay your death benefit because in your insurance policy, experimental drugs, if they kill you, is not covered. And I bet a lot of y'all did not know that, but it has already happened to people already. So that's why I'm telling you, get it together.
And again, by FDA's own laws, that should be included on that.
Girl, when we do the chatter live,
Immediately in 2021, Dr. Carol Tossetto, working with the Daily Cloud, wrote Peter's Marks in the summer of 2023 and said, where's the black box warning? Where is it? No word from Marks.
Dr. Vaughn, you want to weigh in on the informed consent?
Well, the other thing is, I think emergency use authorization, actually by definition, when you fill out the documents for the patient, if they read it, it actually says that they should make sure that they are under no compulsion to get this product. And that is what's so confusing, because even though the product was mandated in the summer, at the end of the summer of 2021, the
How
product—
are you going to mandate an experimental product? How? Something that nobody knows was in it. Nobody know the inserts were blank. Like, come on. And the reason why they were able to get everybody to do this was out of fear. Everybody being afraid. And people have to stop being afraid. And let these people be held accountable. And demand Nuremberg trials or whatever they got to do to get these tribunals, whatever you call, to get these people locked up and held accountable for this. This is crazy. This is crazy.
product on the shelves was still the EUA product. And in that sense, for somebody to be mandated to something that they also have to sign to say that they weren't mandated to do it is kind of hard to do legally.
By the way, that's the subject of a couple oversight letters in terms of the whole full authorization type thing. Dr. Thorpe, quickly.
Yes, on informed consent, there was completely the opposite in pregnant women. HHS appears to have captured the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists And my research team.
It's like they debo all these agencies and all these doctors to scare them into reporting the truth. You know what I mean? All of these agencies got on board because most of them are funded by pharmaceutical companies, and half of the Congress, they're getting money from pharma. You know, all the news people are being sponsored by pharma, sponsored by Pfizer. Come on. We have to wake up to this and do something so this doesn't happen again.
Including Maggie Thorpe, JD, have proven that with the Freedom of Information Act.
For a few
So
million, for a few $1 million, correct?
many $1 million. They captured ACOG. In December of 2020, nobody.
Gary says he knows quite a few. Spoke to a friend a few days ago who was suffering from pain and paralysis, palsy, and paralyzing his arm. A lot of people got Bell's palsy, all different kinds of things. Being paralyzed. A lot of people lost their limbs from poor circulation, and what we found out later is these clots. It's so many things, and people can mind their health. They have treatments. They have things to help you, but you're not going to know if you don't know the truth and know the side effects. So you can be like, oh, yeah, I mean, I was starting to have a shortness of breath, but I didn't really think nothing of it. Oh, yeah, I am having a tingling in my extremities. But it's just so many side effects, and people don't realize it because they're telling, oh, it's safe and effective. Safe and effective is it's nothing wrong. It's 100% works great, and nobody's had any issues. But that is not the truth. That is not the case. And so many people could have been saved or minded their health a long time ago and not doing further damage if these people would have just told the truth. This just makes me angry. It's sad. I've cried over it and been angry over it for years. It's too much. And Faithful and I'm saying immune disease has skyrocketed. Yes, it has. Autoimmune diseases. I'm telling you, look at these insurance actuaries. Listen what those people are saying. Because this is the facts and receipts. The facts and receipts are there. Everywhere. They've been collecting this data for years. And it is what it is. And we're either going to accept it and hold the people accountable, or we're going to act like we have cognitive dissonance and Stockholms and just keep supporting these people. It's mind-boggling to me.
Everybody at ACOG and the other organizations, we're not going to push this vaccine in pregnant women. In the span of a pregnancy, 40 weeks, September 27th, 2021, you will push the vaccine. You will push it in pregnant women and follow all the HHS criteria. And if you don't, we will destroy you and your professional career will take your license away and we will decertify you. That went out to 60,000 OBGYN doctors.
So do you get what he's saying? They calling them, deboning them, telling them they better not do this, they better not, making the threats. So a lot of doctors and nurses and healthcare providers, they knew what the problem was. Lots of them knew, but they didn't want to say anything because they didn't run the risk of being like their colleagues and lose everything and being attacked. It was some brave doctors and lawyers and stuff that, that stayed in this fight. The ICANN lawyer that's on here, he's a beast. Like, you guys have to really research all these people that spoke today and hear their stories and see what they're working on now and stuff like that. They have the facts and receipts, these people. And all of these doctors are treating injured patients. So, if you feel that you're vaccine injured, you need to watch this and see if you could get help from these doctors. There's lots of doctors that have online Medicare, online, what do they call that? Whatever it is, the online doctors' offices and stuff, where they will treat you and prescribe you the medicine that the hospitals and they won't prescribe you for your injuries. And, people have gotten better. I've seen people with blood disorders where their cells are all blown out from the spike proteins and they were able to correct it. So they have the data and the studies, and they've been doing the research and the work to try to make cures and try to help people. And they are blocking and trying to censor everybody still to this day. It's just crazy to me.
So we probably should have expanded the title of this: corruption of science, federal health agencies. What would you call those? professional organizations?
These are the three organizations that essentially govern obstetrical care, not just in the United States of America, but the whole
By
world.
the way, I wanted to ask you, to what extent are the medical journals funded by various conflicting organizations, pharmaceutical companies? I've heard Chinese interests.
Yeah.
I mean, are you aware of that?
Don't get it twisted. It's the Democratic government that allowed for this to happen. Now I'm not going to say that Republicans, they weren't part of the problem too, but I feel like they had a lot more people that didn't drink the Kool-Aid and was willing to look at this, like this man right here, Senator Johnson, and some of the other people you saw up here. Like I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the first person I seen get on TV and say, hey, something's not right and we're trying to figure it out. Like, you were trying to help these people. I got people in my district telling me that they're hurting or whatever. Democrats are wicked. I'm telling you guys, you have to come away from them. You don't have to be a Republican or whatever. Just be independent. Just think for yourself and just look logically at what you're hearing right here.
You were talking about the article written by the editors of the New England Journal of Medicine.
Yes, I'm aware of the study by Wen and colleagues, David Daniel Wen, that was just published October 10th of 2024, documenting that 1.06
So he's going to go into all of the corruption
billion
that they're doing at these agencies and these these government funded whatever they are. I don't even know what these agencies and stuff like that. Let's just skip a little bit forward. I'm trying to get through this. I would love to get through this tonight. These different agencies, they're going to talk here more about the corruption of these agencies. This lawyer right here, I love him.
They sought medical care 2 to 3 times each. All of this data is publicly available now. And so if you're asking.
And by the way, and a quarter missed a day of work, which, by the way, Thomas Jimmy Bakura, in a video before the emergency use authorization about the safety surveillance system, said, we're going to take this so seriously. If somebody loses a day of work, we're going to have a CDC official on the phone following up, checking it out. Was that your experience, Dr. Walskog?
Absolutely not.
Not exactly. Did you want to say anything else about that? I know I've been kind of stomping on you.
No, not at all. No, it's just this. When they designed V-Safe, the only data that
I keep telling you, this guy has sued so many of these companies to get information. And he sued the government. Thank you, love. They sued the government and they had to give them this information. They sued Pfizer. They had to get information. Like, this group single-handedly goes after these big pharmaceutical companies and stuff, and they win. And they got the facts and receipts. And I don't think anybody can touch this lawyer right here. Nobody can touch this lawyer right here.
probably could have assessed safety was medical seeking behavior. So you would hope our federal health agencies had a number. One in, I mean, look at how, how often COVID itself injured people. So you want to make sure the vaccine's safer than that, right? So was it 1 in 200 sought medical care? Would they pulled the plug? 1 in 100 people reported seeking medical care V-Safe, then they'd pull the plug? The data showed 1 in 13 people sought medical care on average 2-3 times each. I don't think there was a number, unfortunately, that would have been sufficient for CDC to pull the plug.
So what we sought for years is their analysis of errors, the proportional reporting ratio, which they did release some of those through FOIA to news organizations, that type of thing, not particularly useful. And by the way, they didn't particularly like that statistic anyway, so they did empirical Bayesian analysis. Never got it. Over a year, never got it.
Well, we have
Why?
2 federal lawsuits still going on right now for
Why?
EB data.
Okay, now we're starting to get some of it.
Mhm.
Okay, and again, I don't.
This group, ICANN, has sued sued the government so much over this and over different policies and stuff like that. And my prayer is that they take away the immunity of these companies, because if you take away the immunity, they'll have to make good products or they'll get sued to oblivion. Right now, no one can sue these companies, so they don't have any reason to make a good product at all. Like, what would be the reason why you would spend money and take time to make a good product if you know that if you kill everybody on earth with it, there's nothing that can be done? So there has been talk about getting rid of immunity, and I think they should.
I don't want to steal thunder or jump the shark on things that I know about that are being studied. But
I want you guys to hear what this lawyer's going to say. Then I'm going to stop for tonight, because tomorrow, and I'll come back with one more part, because tomorrow these people give their final thoughts on things, and I really want you to hear what they're going to have to, what they have to say, and like have a discussion about where this is going to go moving forward.
I think it'll be shocking to people to realize that they definitely had signals in empirical Bayesian that they were not reporting. And it will show, it's kind of complex, but this will be shown.
Well,
Okay, so that's what I say, they say, well, you're not proving the case on this myocarditis. No, this is the tip of the iceberg, of the cover-up,
Yes, it is.
of the downplaying. And you have to ask why. Governor, just this story, were you aware of the story of V-Safe?
Through the testimony, I should probably be allowed to comment. There's been a lot of comments, and we talk about commenting and so on, because it's true, I'm pretty outnumbered here. Look,
He's asking him, what does he have to say about this data that they sued for that shows all these deaths that came from the government? They had to sue for 2 years to get the rights to see this data. And he's asking him, what does he think about it? Now watch this bullshit.
First of all, VAERS, all right, which has been mentioned a bunch of times. It's not an adjudicated reporting system. It's valuable to get input, which we're grateful for, but it is a flood of experience, and there is no, there's no clear causal connection. No, I see your numbers,
He
but
doesn't
that's
know what he's
Did
talking
that
about.
cause you concern?
No, it didn't. I'll tell you why.
He
Because
said it
we do
caused him
want
no
input,
concern.
massive input. I'm grateful that there were people putting that in there, but that's why we do science and studies. We don't just do what this is.
Wow.
So that
I'm going to argue with you here, okay?
Wow.
Here's the problem, because I was going to go down this road. They didn't see safety signals because they didn't want to see them. They had them. They wouldn't report on them. They lied to us. So that's what I'm trying to get at. They lied to us, just like they lied and said, this thing's going to stay in your arm, when they knew it wouldn't, and we know conclusively it does not. They talked about the mRNA. This can just, it's going to go in there, stay in the arm. It's going to dissolve, in hours, a couple days, whatever.
They just
But
told
they knew it was a
everybody. They just told everybody what they needed to hear to get them to get it. You understand? Because if they would have put those safety signals, people would have been afraid to take it. So they just said, "Oh, everything is fine. It works great. Nobody's dying. Nobody's getting injured. There's nothing to see here. Let's censor everybody and lock everybody down, censor, block, and get rid of all the doctors and scientists that are saying something different, and gaslight everybody into taking it." That is what they did.
It wasn't mRNA. It was modified RNA, and it stayed in the body together with the spike protein. And we have studies of that. They're not talking about that as they continue to push this. So again, they've
And
lied.
there's lots of studies about how the spike proteins end up, and this was in the first part that I did yesterday. There's lots of talk about the spike proteins and how they end up in the man's testicles, in the ovaries, in the placenta. They settle all throughout the body, and they never stop making themselves. It's horrifying. It's I'm a sci-fi girl, and I've read all kinds of sci-fi, and this is just, you can't make it up
to us. So again, you can keep saying that, follow the science. No, the science has been corrupted and the agencies have been corrupted.
Yes,
So we have not been able to believe in them. That's why they have no credibility.
Entitled
Go
to
ahead,
answer
Governor.
many of these things. So we certainly disagree on a lot of things. Okay.
Yes.
One of them is that you say corrupted and corruption, and that is possible. Okay. But I didn't have that. I'm just sharing with you as a doctor and a governor and a public health officer, and who had a great response for our state. We didn't have that experience. We did have a great.
By the way, I have checked other island nations and stuff.
Go ahead, check them.
Be interesting.
We were advising them. They were calling me for advice, and that's why we did safe travels, like the senator bristled at. We did
has no
actually
facts or
find
receipts,
ways to
nothing.
help people know whether or not they had COVID, whether or not they'd spread it, whether or not people were at risk. We did that work. Okay.
Well, show
Other
it.
people may have been, not doing that work. I don't know if anybody in this room did that work. I did the work. Okay.
Well, show
I
it.
was out there saving lives, either in the ER or as a lieutenant governor. Everyone else is talking about corruption. Okay. I was doing the work.
We had doctors that had the courage to treat COVID patients as well. So.
Yeah, and I was a COVID patient also, and in isolation for 14 days.
Yeah,
and
the
it was the right thing
gaslight
to
is
do
on
at the
with this
time,
guy.
September 11th of the first year, because we didn't know if I would spread it to my children or to my wife or to other people that I cared deeply about or my constituents. So I honored it, unlike others might not have, okay, being in quarantine. So that's a different topic.
They knew that shit was garbage from day one, because why would you waste money creating something that is good when it doesn't matter? You are immune from prosecution. You're immune from paying damages. No matter what the product does, you have immunity. Do you really think that they're going to spend a lot to make something great when they know that everybody's going to take it regardless? They're going to make billions of dollars. They're not going to waste their time to make a good product for what? It's no liability. It makes no sense. And why people are not demanding that they take away this this immunity is beyond me. I guarantee you, if they take away immunity, there will be no more vaccines, because they're so dangerous and they harm so many people. There'll be so many lawsuits. All these companies would be out of business. Simple as that. Yup, Faithful and I says they make us sick to make money. That's right. They, they cause the problem, they cause the sickness, and then they charge you up for the cure.
Now, we've talked about myocarditis a lot, okay? And we are going to differ in our opinions about the data, I'm sure. However, there were about 12 cases from one perspective per million second shots. That's one of the studies and reports. I'm sure other gentlemen at this table are going to dispute that and have disputed that completely. But I will tell you that we saw one heck of a lot more terrible cardiac issues, myocarditis, far more clots for people that ended up in the ICU that we had to treat. We saw.
Now, again, he doesn't have any data for this. They're just saying this because those lawyers, they have the data. They have the federal government's data of what happened. They had to sue for it for 2 years. They have it. They had to sue for the Pfizer stuff. Pfizer said they would release them documents in 80 years or something like that. And they got it. They know what it is. He's just hoping that you'll be stupid enough to not question what he's saying. That's why Johnson's like, well, give us the data. Put it in with the rest of the stuff we have already and put it in there and let us see it. I guarantee you they don't have it. It doesn't exist.
Cataclysmic numbers when people got bad COVID and ended up at the hospital, but they didn't get bad COVID when they got vaccinated. That is the point. Now,
didn't he ask him about myocarditis? Aren't they talking about excess deaths? Please.
We're walking past.
So again,
we're walking past a lot of those issues.
Okay, can you cite the study that proves that?
No.
Yes, and I'm happy.
So provide them.
Of course we will. And you can get. There's another.
To me, he should have came there with that information, because you're going to be asked. Because all those other doctors, they came there with their facts and receipt. That lawyer came there with them facts and receipts, and he's there talking about he's going to supply it, and of course he can. He can do. Give me a break.
24,000 pages of data on both sides of this argument, okay? And everybody knows that the colossal damage to human beings.
Will you provide this committee that study?
Will. And all of the data nationally and internationally showed that people had these complications in much larger numbers from severe COVID than they did from vaccinations, much larger numbers. Now, we can have that debate, and we'll get you at plenty of studies, okay? And the studies will be, he's shaking his head, but that's what—
You know why he's shaking his head? Because he has the government studies. He has Pfizer's hundreds and hundreds of pages of study. He has it. That's what he does. He's the lawyer that sues pharmaceutical companies. He sues the government on behalf of injured people and bad legislation surrounding vaccines and this and that. That they know. There's nobody that can go against them with some bullshit, because they have facts and receipts out their ass.
The vast body of mainstream researchers and mainstream healthcare providers feel. Now, I don't want to disparage my colleagues that are up at this table, okay? But I will tell you that we are—
This man has sat up there and talked and hasn't said a damn thing. He doesn't have any studies that he submitted to prove what he's saying. He's just talking. Just like they did the whole of COVID, just talking. No science exists, and they just tell you whatever they want you to tell you, and they expect you to believe it, because most of the people did. But hopefully people will wake up now.
Going down a rabbit hole to demonize the vaccinations. And maybe someday we will find that that there should have been more transparency. Maybe people will find ultimately, maybe, that vaccines cause more harm than people were able to report at the time. However, it's my firm belief as a provider of healthcare and a person who had to make a state plan.
All his patients should leave because he is crazy. And just somebody that cannot be trusted. I would not trust somebody like that with my health.
That there is value in providing vaccinations like this. And next time we have a pandemic,
yes, they will, Faithful.
It's going to be even more serious if it ever affects
are.
children. I will tell you, people are going to clamor for vaccinations if children are terribly affected.
So now here they go to try to scare you. There's going to be another pandemic and your kids are going to be in danger and you're going to want those vaccines for your kids because they're going to die. Like Democrats try to fear you in every situation. I just have to remind you, fear not. Okay? Look at me, my friends here. I'm sitting here living my best life, healthy, happy, wealthy, and wise. And nothing happened to me. I'm fine. And I sleep well every night. Fear not. Fear not. Girl, don't worry about cursing. You know me, okay? I don't think anybody curse less than me. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Those words, you know, we're angry. We went through a lot. And a lot of people went through a lot. And I want to see these people pay. I'm done with these people too, girl. It's too much. So you guys can watch him gaslight a little bit more another time. Because I just had to end it with him because I want y'all to see how full of foolishness that these people really are. They really are. You have all these doctors and scientists sitting up there, all these renowned people with their facts and receipts over the last 5 years, not just here in America, but all over the world. All over the world, they have facts and receipts, and they know that these shots are dangerous. But people over here, they have cognitive dissonance about it. They will not hold these people accountable. So, you know, and I'm going to come back again tomorrow to show you this last part because I want to make sure I have all of this out there because I know most people are not going to sit through the whole 3 hours. And I want to show you guys the most important things of the facts and receipts. And this is a permanent committee, okay? They're not going anywhere. They're going to keep having these hearings and get into the bottom. I just pray it doesn't end up like the Epstein files where nothing happens, you know? I mean, I hope that they really do the right things. You know, so far, Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, they under fire because people are thinking that, you know, they're covering up things. So do I trust the government fully ever? No, I don't. But I do feel like they are moving in the right direction. That's right. Faithful Anon says God always wins. And that is true. The devil always has it reign for a minute. And the devil is always trying to fear you and, you know, take away your spirit and, you know, try to control you or whatever. But the reign always ends. Look at Diddy. You know, he was on top for a long time. Now he's paying penance. You understand? For all that he's done. You understand? So I'm going to leave it like that. Satan is a loser. That's right, girl. Always. And I just have to remind y'all to fear not, because over fear, people do some of the dumbest shit. Being afraid. There is nothing to fear. Nobody gets out alive. Everybody's going to die here. What are you afraid of? It should be nothing. Oh yeah, girl, we're going to talk after this, okay? I'm going to call you when I'm done. I'm getting ready to hang up on this live right now because we have to get this together. I have a Chatter app page too. Both Faithful Anon and Shelly B, we have Chatter, and we've been talking about for a long time that we're going to get this on where we get on there and have our discussions and stuff like that. But now we are one step closer to getting it. So we're going to be on there. We're going to try to set this up. And hopefully I can get this, we can get this done maybe next week and get on for the first time. Because we decided to through the chatter, just so we could just like talk and meet people and just have discussions with people about things we had went through. And we set this up was it last year? Like last year, but we've just been so busy in our lives and we haven't been able to get it together. So we're going to try to interconnect all of these things together with Facebook, Instagram, you know, TikTok, YouTube, everything. You know, we have all of these platforms. So we're going to get it. That's right. Let's go. Yes, girl. So I'm going to hang up right now. I am Shelly B. I love you. And this means I love you in sign language. And if you sat through this with me and my homegirl, I love you. I appreciate you and I love you. And this means I love you in sign language. So I'm going to come back on here tomorrow with that last little part. Look for these videos out there. I'm going to cut them into smaller reels and put them everywhere. Just because I just want to share this information. I get chastised a lot because, you know, this was just such a big deal to me, what they did with these products. And I took a lot of smoke, you know. They tried to destroy my career, but they couldn't do it because I'm good at what I do. And thank God people like me and people, you know, I've been in the industry for a long time. People, they love me and they know that, you know, I was just trying to do the righteous thing for myself and my coworkers. There's a few people out there that might not like me, but it's not, you know, now today the vibe is so different. I get love everywhere I go. You know, people are telling me that they happy and proud of me for what I did as far as, you know, standing up, relentless. My girl, Faithful and I, was always with me and a few other friends, a small little group of us. You know, we kept in a fight and we didn't back down. We kept the fight going, you know what I mean? And I know we're going to be victorious in the end. So you guys, please watch, just share these videos, subscribe to the channels, and just, you know, tell the people you love to mind their health. Like I said, these doctors on here, they have cures and stuff to help with these injuries, you know what I mean? And you could go and they will prescribe you what you need. It's not like you're gonna have to go to the hospitals and the university hospitals and fight with them to try to, you know, figure out what's wrong with you. These doctors already know. They've been treating people already and helping people ease their symptoms and helping people get their lives back on track with some of these injuries. There's so many people that are injured. These doctors have made whole entire new careers out of just treating people that are injured. That's how many. And they gave up their old careers and now they're here. They doing treating injured people. So, you know, Faithful and I said parasite cleanse is amazing for everything. Yes, it is. And I probably have to do that because I haven't done that in quite some time. And the greatest thing about a lot of these treatments for these injuries and things that are wrong is that they're natural. Most of them are natural cures. And that's the next thing that farmer don't want, is that you can cure yourself for cheap with something natural. Okay. So, you know, we just have so many things to talk about and we're going to get it together. We're going to get together. One day I'm going to have her come on here and be a guest on here, but I have to get it set up. Listen, I'm kind of like, you know, not the most technically sound, but I'm learning as I go. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of really been being consistent with this over the last few months. And it's a joy to get the information out to people. I want everybody to elevate their frequency. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. I'm going to get off of here because my son is cooking some food and I smell it. And anybody that knows me knows I love to eat. So I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching.